Hi everyone, it's Tao, and today I'm going to share with you more about how I got Band 3 for my NUS QET. So, for those of you guys who aren't sure what QET is actually a qualifying English language test that's needed by most courses before you enter NUS, and you have to take it unless you have the English language qualifications needed. So, for example, things like A-level, for your H1 general paper, you must get grade C and above. So there are different qualifications that they accept. So you need to check the NUS website accordingly to see whether you need to take it or not. So generally, there are two main test dates, one in July and the other in November. Generally, I'll recommend that you should take the July one as much as possible because school starts in August and you definitely don't want to have to worry about these extra exam when school starts in August, right? So that's why it's better to take in July if you can. So there are three different types of QET results. So the first one is Band 1. And if you get Band 1, you have to take this ES 1000 module followed by ES 1103 module. So Band 1 probably means that you have to work more on your English, and NUS is actually helping you by making you take these two modules. If you are in Band 2, you have to take this ES 1103 module. So just like Band 1, this ES 1103 module is actually graded, and it's actually 4 modular credits worth and counts towards your CAP. So if you get Band 1 or 2, do work hard for this, and in fact, if you actually do well for it, it can actually count and help you in your CAP. If you get Band 3, it's good news because you get exempted for both of these modules and you can focus on other modules that you have on hand during your study in NUS. So Band 3 is what most students are aiming for, so let's find out how we can aim for that. But before that, let's take a look at the test details. So I took this test in 2020 and it was conducted virtually with Zoom proctoring. And this year they are doing the same thing again. They're also using Exemplify software, which is something that you'll be very familiar with in school, since a lot of exams are likely to be conducted virtually as well. And unfortunately, this is a closed book exam, so you don't have any internet access or like any notes for you to read. So this test is actually an essay. You have to write a sort of like argumentative comparison sort of essay. But don't worry, because you'll be given 2 sources from 2 different authors, and you have to use examples from it to support or refute the question. And total, you have 1 hour and 45 minutes for it. But don't worry, because I'll leave the link to all of these test formats, etc. in the description box below for you to access it. So, what are they looking for? So, you'll be graded based on things like content, organization, and language. Content is actually looking at how you answer the question, whether you answer it properly with examples and evidence from the sources given or from your own. Organization-wise, they're looking at how you organize the ideas that you have. For example, whether you organize it nicely in introduction, body, etc. We'll go more into that later. Language-wise, they're looking at more of like things like your grammar, your fluency, whether essay flows or not. So this is just a sample of how the test paper will look like. And I found this online actually. So I'm sure if you Google, you can find other sources as well. And don't worry if you're unable to find it, because they'll give you samples for you to try out in the Exemplify software before you take the actual exam. So how do you prepare for it? One main advice I can give is to read widely, look at different categories of different examples, such as global affairs, media, etc. For example, in media, you can look at how, for example, fake news, Singapore has this POFMA law to counter it, to counter all of these fake news. For the organization of essay-wise, generally I'll advise that you organize the essay into these parts, namely the introduction, followed by 2 body paragraphs with 2 of your points, supporting or refuting, then followed by 1 counterpoint. You can either support initially for the first 2 points And for this counterpoint, you can refute these 2 points or vice versa. But the most important thing is you need to rebut this counterpoint such that it sort of like supports the points 1 and 2. And finally, come up with a conclusion to end off this whole essay nicely, wrapping out all of these things. So for the body paragraphs, I think it'll be good if you can follow this structure. I call it the peel structure. So first of all, you come up with your point, followed by an example, then explain it, elaborate it, then link it back to the point. So for the counterpoint, it's similar, except that after elaboration, you have a rebuttal point and followed by the link. For language-wise, it would be great if you could read widely, not just read newspapers, books, but also try to read a variety of sources. And if you're worried about your grammar, you can try to practice it online because there are lots of different sources available for you to practice your grammar. And when you read your newspapers, books, etc., try to take note of the vocabulary words, the nice ones that you can use. For example, instead of using use, you can use words like employ, etc. You can also use appropriate linkage words to link all of these different sentences and paragraphs together. For example, if you want to show contrast, you can use words like however, instead, contrary, etc. So this essay is unlike many other essays that you have in, if let's say you are from Singapore, it's very different from the ones you have in secondary school because this QET exam actually requires you to cite the different sources. So in general, most references that you have to cite uses the APA citation format. And I believe that the instructors will actually go through more of these during the briefing that you're required to attend before you take the test. So don't worry about it yet. But it's always good to be familiar with it, and I'll leave more links to all of these APA citation format in the description box below as well. But generally, just take note that you have to put in your in-text citation and a reference list at the end of the essay. So these are the general tips that I advise to students. Most important thing is to start early, be consistent, don't do last minute work. For me, I like to prepare early. In fact, I actually prepared for this a month in advance before the exam. And once you are able to access a software, which is called Exemplify, try to be familiar with it because you're able to access all of these mock practice paper, etc. Try to see how you can mess around with the timers, the typing, etc. Try to do time practice as well, since the paper is about an hour and 45 minutes. So try to practice, condition yourself to do and finish this essay within the time. Try to spend some time before you start the essay to prepare and plan out your essay because it can help you save a lot of time later since you already got all of your pointers out. And most important thing is, before you submit, try to proofread your essay as much as possible. So this can help you to weed out all those grammatical errors, sentence structure errors, etc. So the most important thing after you have your essay done, submitted, is your results. So I'll also leave a link to a PDF file that goes and shows you how you can check our results in the description box below also. But generally, this is the page you should navigate to, which is the view milestones. So it'll show you your grade. So most of the time, people want to get band 3 since they don't have to take any of these other modules. And I hope that you get band 3 as well. I'm Tao, sending you good vibes. Hope that you can get the grade that you desire. All the best if you're taking QET.